Finally, after years of sleepless nights and hard work, my research has finally paid off.
I don't think this is a good idea, Doctor. The dead should stay dead. He won't even be human anymore.
Shut up! My friend will finally rise once more.
Are you sure this is safe, Doctor?
I have no idea. Rise, L.
Hello!
Oh, it actually worked. Wait, you actually recreated Liam.
You're finally here. It's been so long since we've recorded a video.
Yeah, he's being literal about that. Like, we had to create a puppet version of you so that we could actually have, like, 3 people for this video.
Really? What happened to Brewer?
He got turned into stone.
Rip Bozo.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. But hey, at least we have 3 people in here now. Because guess what? Today we're talking about Lies of P. Woo!
Yay! I love this game because he's peeing it. He's peeing it.
He is peeing it. My friends. Jeez. I love it when my
Little
favorite
do people know, Lives of P actually stands for Lies of Piss.
This is true.
Exactly. This is true. Hey, Pinocchio? What are you talking about? How do you know it stands for Pinocchio? It doesn't say in the title.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
never call him. They never call him Pinocchio.
Exactly.
Yeah, they call him P because he's always peeing.
Exactly. That's
Ooh, I
like
like
the
that.
whole game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Getting into it today, we are talking about Lies of P, often regarded as one of, if not the best, Souls-like game in the Souls-like subgenre. Basically, Pinocchio's Souls. You'd think this would be crazy, but holy shit, it's actually amazing.
They went. What if we made the best non-Souls game? And I will stick by
Yeah,
that
no,
opinion.
literally. No, that is just a fair opinion to have. This game is awesome. But yeah, no, like we're getting into Lies of P. I guess we can do a little synopsis while we're at it. Besides just the apparent, oh, it's Dark Souls Pinocchio, this is a retelling of the tale of Pinocchio of the wooden boy who's trying to become a real boy, but it's retold through a dark dystopian steampunk-esque world of the original Pinocchio story through a Souls-like medium. And I think that the way that this game does it is actually pretty unique and honestly really different, because this game isn't sticking entirely to the original story, but it's using aspects of it to tell its own little story, and it's awesome.
Yeah, they really take like
Yeah,
the mythos of Pinocchio, I guess you would call it, and they just kind of like, not to say they just throw it out the window, but like they kind of just go, we're gonna use the bones of Pinocchio, or we're gonna use like the framework, but then we're gonna create something completely separate, completely different. A lot of like the Pinocchio stuff you would expect them to keep, maybe they kind of just don't really do, like the whole, going inside of a whale, um which is, I guess, a very big.
they remove. I was gonna say they remove a lot more of the, um, I guess how you would describe of like fantastical elements, and well, they take some of the more like fantastical elements in terms of like how lighthearted they could be perceived of, like, because like if you go, obviously off the original movie, it's, the giant whale comes and eats them. There's the island where all the boys get turned into, donkeys and stuff like that, and it sort of twists these elements and makes them slightly more grounded but also darker in tone.
Yeah, like, yeah, they don't really like stick to the, at least like the original narrative, like from the book, all too much. Like so Monstro, the whale that like eats Pinocchio and Geppetto, they repurpose that into a submarine that has like a whale painting on the side of it, like just as a reference. But like, getting like out of the comparisons here for a second, this is a Pinocchio game. It is a Souls game as well. Well, Souls-like a game. You'd think they wouldn't work together, but it incorporates the original themes of what it means to be a real boy, or in this game, what it means to be human, and applies that to an amazing setting with like really well done characters and real done lore. The setup for this game is that you play as P, or Pinocchio if you want to be a little nerd
Well,
emoji.
actually,
Um,
technically, we don't know. We don't know if he would is Pinocchio. They kind of on purpose steer clear of the name, and I like that a lot.
that
Like they,
that
I
is
don't think
true.
there is a single reference to his name being Pinocchio in the game.
That is honestly true, and I think that's just more so for like the interpretations of the ending, at least for sure. But basically the setup for this game is that you are playing as Geppetto's puppet, the one and only, not really, puppet of the world who is able to actually lie. And the reason why this is a big deal is because other puppets in the world are programmed to have a rule where they cannot lie. One of the other rules is that they cannot hurt people. Well, something happens called the puppet
It's
frenzy.
Yeah, it's the three laws of robotics. It's a general, like science fiction, thing, where it's supposed to be a set of ethical rules for fictional robots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I could go over them if you
Yeah,
have
go
Go
for
more.
it. Yeah,
for
go
it.
for it actually, because yeah, that's part of the setup
Yeah,
here. Go for it.
yeah. So the first law is that a robot may not injure a human or allow a human to come to harm through an action. The second law is that a robot must obey human orders provided they don't conflict with the first law. And the third law is that a robot must protect itself unless that conflicts with the first or second law. Now, obviously, Lies of P adds a fourth law, which is that robots cannot lie.
And here's the thing. These rules get broken in one night called the Puppet Frenzy, where all the puppets of Krot, which is like the main city of the game, go crazy. They start attacking and killing people. And they go wild. Basically, any like servitude bots just go after their masters. And so it is up to P, or the avatar character that you play as, to use this newfound power of being able to tell lies and make your own narrative, of trying to figure out what exactly is going on with the puppet frenzy to find its cause and stop those behind it. That is a very spoilery way of putting it. There is a lot that happens in this game.
Yeah, the game's story is like quite complex, and unlike a Souls game, I'd say a good amount of it is pretty straightforward. Like
Yeah, honestly.
I'd say like it's way easier to understand because like a big part of this game is the story because very like I mean you start and the first thing you're like is I gotta find um I gotta find Geppetto, you know, Geppetto, big part of the Pinocchio world, and you're in Krot, the big like city, and the puppet frenzy has just like gone on. So like the town has been massacred, people are dead, like everywhere. Puppets are attacking things on sight, and you're like the only one that's unaffected, and you don't know why. And as you like go through the game, you find more and more out about like what is exactly happening with the puppet frenzy, how it started, what caused it, that kind of stuff. And with P, you kind of slowly start learning more about why P was created, why he's special, and of course, you know, because you're the protagonist, Mr. P. I'm gonna call him Mr. P because that sounds funny. Um, you a lot of like the game is P discovering himself vicariously through like the player's actions, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's a unique spin of like the finding them, like the finding yourself trope, like the coming of age kind of, where I mean, that's a big part of the original Pinocchio story, was just Pinocchio trying to become a real boy, or like try, and also learning lessons like about life. But doing that through a protagonist who is silent for the most part and a player character, honestly, is really reflective of just how you yourself would like how you would decide certain actions if you were given these decisions, the lying mechanic is actually something that isn't so like of course, in the original tale, lying is bad. Ooh. But in this game, it's actually a moral gray area, and they actually explore the idea of lying for good cause. And I think that is something that the game does really cool things with, especially for side quest.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really cool thing to talk about. Like, lying is not an inherently bad thing. It can be a very bad thing, but it is not like inherently bad at all. Which is cool that they kind of like talk about that.
Exactly, and especially in a world where puppets aren't allowed to lie, being the only puppet that has this ability is something like it feels special. It really does, especially with the mechanics that go alongside with lying. And this can kind of transition us into some of the gameplay of the game a bit, where the lying aspects of the game increase a secret gauge called the humanity meter. And this is something that will constantly increase throughout the game depending on your actions, or not at all depending on your actions. It's up to you. But because lying is inherently a human aspect, because like we said before, puppets can't lie, but this one can, he being able to lie, does that make him human? Or at least, how human?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a really cool sort of. I think it's a really cool mechanic both in terms of gameplay, but also in terms of the sort of lore and world building, and how that affects sort of the story as it progresses. Because it's obviously a very big deal that you're the only puppet who can lie.
Yeah,
I
no,
think.
that this you first.
Oh no, you go, you go.
I was gonna say, humanity is this meter that at first you don't think is really important at all in terms of like any gameplay significance, which is true. It's not gonna affect like your playthrough for the most part, but it affects things little by little as time goes on. Like there's interactions with like a cat, for example. At first it will not let you pet it whatsoever. It's actually like terrified of you. But if you gain more humanity, it starts to like nuzzle up to you and to a point where it will let you pet it. So the idea is that P is become or your player character is becoming more human through decisions that you make. Now, of course, this can also be the inverse where you make the decisions that aren't making you human, but to see these like little changes as the game goes on is something that I feel like is really memorable, especially on a first playthrough.
Yeah, I would agree.
No, I completely agree.
Like, especially like just getting to like experiment with like seeing that like even though like they it's I wouldn't say it's like the most advanced system, like seeing that the choices that you're making do have an effect on like the characters around you is a cool way of doing like the whole like lying mythos or lying not mythos. I don't know, I keep saying that word. Lying like I guess mechanic is the best way to put it with Pinocchio, because like it is a very like different take on Pinocchio that like as a story this game just I think does very cool things by kind of flipping a lot of stuff that Pinocchio does on its head. But I also think we have talked a good about the story, which I think we need to get to what a very big part of a Souls game, which is the gameplay.
Of course.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
No,
because
that's fair.
because the gameplay of this game it's a Souls-like, so you've got your classic you've got a weapon, you've got a stamina meter, a health bar, and every attack requires stamina. Dodging, you get dodging with iframes, all that, like the classic Souls game stuff. And like the lamps, but in this game they're called stargazers, which like all of that, and like upgrading your abilities, like specking into a certain build with like different weapons, all of that. It's got all the standard um Souls game stuff, but then like a couple, I think, mechanics that set it so far apart from other Souls games that like I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I see a Souls game in the future use some of these mechanics. And the one I would just like to, I will talk about just this one because like it's my favorite, which is the like weapon smithing. I don't know the exact name you would say for it, but there's a mechanic in the game where most weapons in the game, despite like a select few, have a handle and a blade, and the handle and the blade are interchangeable. So any handle can go with any blade, and you can just make your own weapon, and it will actively change how like the weapon feels and plays. Like my favorite handle was called the booster glaive, and it would just like the heavy attacks would propel you forward, and I used that with an electric saw. So like every puppet would just get, I would just fly towards the puppet and like immediately hit him with a bunch of electric damage, which was really effective against puppet characters, and it was really fun, and I had like a blast doing it, despite the fact that most of my gameplay with like Lies of P has been with like the special weapons.
The special weapons, they are usually from bosses,
I
sometimes
think I think there's
not.
like I think there's like only like 3 that aren't from bosses.
I know there's the one that they added in an update that you get for free, which is like unironically like really
Um,
good. It's the glaive.
it's the best weapon in the, or it's like top 3 weapon in the game actually. It's the
That makes sense.
speed running weapon. Like every speedrunner just uses that.
That's funny.
But
But yeah,
sorry, I was gonna
go for it, go for
that
it.
was actually a Wo Long Dynasty like collaboration, which was a different Souls-like that got some traction, not as much as Lies of P. Lies of P was definitely like the standout, but they
Yeah,
did
no,
do
it
a fun
Yeah, I
little
agree.
collab together, and it ended up being one of the best weapons for Lies of P.
that's hilarious. But yeah, what Liam is referring to is that special weapons, most of the time, the boss weapons that you obtain in the game, they aren't interchangeable with in terms of your handles and your blades, but that's okay because they usually have their own special properties that make them different. One of my favorite weapons in the game is actually the weapon you get from the third main boss in the game, where its entire gimmick, it's called the Holy Arc, it's called the Holy Sword of the Ark, or the Covenant, it's one of those two. And basically, it has an ability where it can change itself into basically a long spear-like sword or a short sword. And the spear, unironically, is faster because it gains a buff to increase its movement speed after for a little bit, which I think is really fun because you can switch back in between them whenever you want to, and every time you do switch, you get this speed buff for a little bit. It's super duper fun, high good damage, and also just really fun for a strength build, especially with a weapon that fast. One of my most recent weapons that I played with, it's called the Twin Dragon Blade. Its entire gimmick is that with its heavy attack, you can hold it down, and if you time it properly, you can parry any attack in the game. Which brings us into a second mechanic that I find to be so satisfying to do with, is the parry mechanics. Ooh boy, this game is Sekiro and Bloodborne put together, and the Sekiro part is definitely the parrying. You are rewarded for parrying, whether it is for just basic attacks, building up stagger meters, or one of the coolest things, you can break enemy weapons by parrying enough times, including the boss weapons.
Yes, it is. That is true. You
Yeah,
can break the boss weapons if you are good enough at the game. You just make the boss fight easier. It's sick.
it's a really good mechanic too for some of the later boss fights too, which have which depending on um a variety of factors can go on for a while, but I think the boss fight where it was the handiest was the um of course I blank on the name. Um
Description, I'll know who it is.
the gank fight that's really
Black
annoying.
Rabbit Brotherhood.
Ooh,
Black Rabbit Brother. I knew it was Brotherhood something. Um
yeah, that fight sucks.
but
Yeah,
yeah, but that
the one
fight
stinker in a game of
it's
Peak.
well, yeah, no, I agree.
Continue though, Connor,
But
sorry.
that mechanic's really useful for that fight, because due to the fact that it's a gang fight, they actually have a lot lower durability on their weapons. So if you're really good at parrying, you can actually break the main boss's weapon by the time you sort of get to the final phase of the fight. And so it just makes that last phase a lot easier to handle.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and by breaking their weapons, not only do they deal less damage, they also just have less range. So even if you do get hit after the weapon is broken, like it's really not that bad, honestly, of the damage you took, and it makes the fight just so much easier. But some of those later fights, it is just going to be really hard to break their weapon just because they purposely have really high durability, which, of course, they don't want you to break it in one hit. That'd be super stupid, especially for a Souls-like. But no, this is something that you can invest into. You can invest into a skill tree, actually, and have specific skills on your character that is solely into trying damaging the weapon of the enemy so that it can break easier. Like, that's actually something I invested in heavily on my replay through very recently.
Yeah, I think it's a very cool mechanic, but I will say I don't think I interacted with it as much as I should have, but like it does seem really funny.
It is, but also I do think the parrying of the game, this is like a little flaw I have with the game. It can be a little bit misleading at times, and basically what I'm trying to get at. The game wants you to parry more than dodge, which is completely fine. Dodging is still an option. It's still a very viable option. There's no problem with that whatsoever. But sometimes there are just hitboxes in the game that aren't entirely accurate to the animation, and they want you to parry these animations, obviously, but when the parry window is already really tight for this game, it's very tight. It's only like, I want to say like 7 frames, 7 or 9 frames. It's between there. It's tight. Sekiro's is actually more lenient, fun fact. And to have like these
That's
animations with that have hitboxes that aren't as consistent. The animations to not have consistent hitboxes can mess up your parrying a lot and cause you to lose some fights sometimes. One attack in particular I can think of, there is a boss a little bit past the midway point in the game. It's the monster of the swamp. And it has two attacks where it rises itself in the air and then basically flops on the ground or like slams on the ground with its body. Two attacks, and the animation is very similar for both of them. However, there's two separate attacks. One of them, the hurt box, is way more extended outward than the other one, so it will unintentionally mix up players, conditioning them into thinking they're doing one attack, but in actuality they're doing another one, and they mistimed to parry and they just ate shit for it.
Blood, you brought up the swamp monster, because if you didn't, I would, because I think that is another stinker boss in the game.
dude, I heavily disagree. I love the swamp monster.
I like the second phase more than the first, that's for sure, which I think can
The
bring us
second
into our.
phase is, yeah, I was gonna say this is actually a good time to transition to our discussion on bosses, because I think it's safe to say that when it comes to Souls likes and just Souls games in general, bosses are a very big draw of them.
Oh yeah, not only like the design, the weapons, the difficulty, the phase transitions, the music as well. That's like one of the honestly the key advertising points of a Souls-like is just how cool are the bosses. Me and
And
Liam have some
if
thoughts on.
if you have a game that happens to not have really cool bosses, it can really hurt how the perception of a game is. You can have great gameplay, but with like nothing to use that gameplay on, like what's the point?
That brings us into Lords of the Fallen. That's a different video. I just wanted to mention that because I wanted to hate on it.
Because that game is
Um,
some staggering
Something else.
amounts of mids.
Well, that's for a different episode though. But I'm glad we made that comparison because the bosses in this game definitely stand out. They 100% do. And though I wouldn't say all of them are amazing, I mean, we've mentioned it already. We don't like the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, and of
Bad
course, we
boss
have our
fight.
opinions about the Swamp Monster.
Yeah,
What's up?
that I actually am like really surprised that you specifically, Guy, aren't the biggest fan of the swamp monster. That boss is like I I would say that like that was like the most fun boss to learn like the parry timing for.
I don't know. For me, like this is my opinion. I feel like the animation problems of that first phase are just icky to learn. And also, the second phase, though it's cool, like as an initial reveal, it's just kind of annoying after a point, especially like with a lot of its like sidestepping attacks, where it's just like I'm gonna call it multi-hit slop. That's the best way to put it, where it will just like throw its like tentacles at you, and you just spam the parry button without really any like punishment all too much. Like I don't know, it's that wasn't really like a standout for me. Which I can't really say for the bosses of like the DLC. I think all of them, all the bosses in the DLC are fucking amazing. Oh my god, they stepped up the quality on that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like like a Souls game in general staple where like DLCs are supposed to be what like DLCs are supposed to hone in on like making insanely fun bosses, and I think that this game's DLC, which we won't get too much into, does do it. But like I think despite our differences about the monster of the swamp, like most of the bosses of this game are like just like extremely well designed, I would say. Like there are very few
Yeah,
bosses like
that's
the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. I have like a feeling that they purposefully made it like a bad fight just because like every game's got to have a bad fight. Like I feel like it's impossible to have a game with zero bad fights.
what I was gonna say is that I do agree with that. Um, well, not with the whole them making it a bad fight on purpose thing. But just that it's got very consistent quality with bosses. There are very few bosses where I think, while there are might be like a few mechanics I don't like about it, it is all around a good fight. Which is something I can't really say um for like, standard FromSoft games.
Yeah, I will
FromSoft?
say some FromSoft games do have like a consistency issue.
I'm looking at Dark Souls 1 for
I
that.
I was I
That's the
was
example that
actually
comes to my head.
I
I
was looking at Elden Ring.
It's fair. Yeah,
I
it's
was
fair.
also looking at Dark Souls 1, don't worry, guy.
Well, I
Thank you.
haven't played
Real
that one,
recognize it's real.
so that's probably why.
Dude, the second half of Dark Souls 1 is so much worse compared to the first half. Like it's insane. Um okay, that's a different discussion though. Point is,
We've already done a Dark Souls 1 video, so you can just watch that
yeah,
and
so
see your
that you'll watch
thoughts.
that. Go watch that already. Get if you want to see our opinions on it, go watch it there. But with Liza P, I think also something that's really impressive about these bosses is that what they're trying to teach you as time goes on is consistent with like your skill of the game for the time. So like what I mean by that, the first boss of the game, the Parade Master, not hard at all. You can honestly dodge all of his attacks and you'll be completely fine. He has very good tells. He's like decent in terms of like difficulty. He's not hard, but he's not entirely easy. He's like the right amount of challenge. And then you have the second fight of the game where you have to incorporate parries into the game to win properly because this is the first time where a boss will use a lot of red attacks. Red attacks, what they do is you cannot dodge them whatsoever. The
You
only way
can't you
to take
can't you
no
can
damage.
you can you can you can't dodge them, you just can't block them. The only thing is you
Wait, I
can't
thought it
block
was.
them. No, you can dodge them.
Oh, oh! Wait,
Yeah, trust me, you can dodge them because I spent a good chunk of my first playthrough um just dodging and running away from them because I didn't realize you could
Wait,
parry
guy, did you
them.
go through the entire game without knowing that you could
yes.
just dodge?
This coming in, Guy Thomas accidentally makes Lies of P harder than it needs to be for him.
Yeah, that's
Breaking news: Guy Thomas is a LARPer. More at 11.
that's dude, that's actually like that's really funny because like that's if you want to deal with a red attack, like if you want to deal with it safely, the best thing to do is just dodge. Like some moves are really hard
Yeah.
to dodge, like the Archbishop's red attacks are really hard to dodge, but like a lot of red attacks you can just like very easily dodge.
Guys, I've been
I
pairing
was
them
gonna
this entire.
say, I think it was Liam because I was streaming this game to these two, and I remember Liam. I was doing this one early boss fight, and I kept just running away every time the boss did a red attack. And after I beat it, Liam was like, "Hey, you know you can parry those, right?" And I just had to sit there and be like, "What?
Oh my god, I've made this game
You
harder than it needed to be. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you guys need to read the tutorial sometimes, man.
Dude, I'm gonna be so real. I'm gonna
well,
be so
I
real. Oh, I played this game like near release when it like initially released. I did read the tutorial. I did not read the tutorial on my second playthrough because I thought I knew the mechanic. I'm being so honest.
I think what also
okay."
happened was I
He
played the demo for this game, which gets you up to the second main boss. Yeah, the second main boss of the game, which is the scrapped watchman. And I just like did that fight over and over again because I thought the mechanics of the game were so fun that I was just experimenting with all the different weapons and stuff because I was having like a blast with the game. And so I think I just like because I I don't think it's crazy to say that like I have put the most time into this game, I would say.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, no,
I
that's
mean,
fair.
I've only done one playthrough, and even
And you
then, that
didn't do
was a
the
bit of a
DLC
botched
and
one.
you Connor did a very big oopsie that I'm gonna think about for a while where he just missed out on the like a big boss of the game, like a silly little goober, and it was also
Listen, man,
it was
I
the
was
best boss of the base game that he missed.
It was.
listen, man, I was in VC with Guy. I asked him a question. He was taking a while to respond, and I just
No, here's the
panicked.
thing,
I wasn't
Connor.
going to. No, 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 no. It is a
No, Connor,
dialogue
Connor,
prompt.
I was in the stream when it happened.
I know you were.
I hold on, hold
I
on.
know
For
you were,
context,
and
for
I.
context. To fight this boss, you need to answer a dialogue prompt correctly. I was not going to answer for you because I wasn't going to be a guide.
I thought that I wanted you to be a guide. I think I literally just asked you something like, "Hey, can I restart this if I mess up?" I think that's literally like all I asked you is like, if I mess up, can I
Oh
just like
yeah, no,
reset to
that's
my
okay. That
last
did happen.
save?
That did happen. Oh yeah, no, and we found out you mess up, you're screwed.
Yeah, which no, it's really funny. It's like funny in hindsight, but like I do feel bad for Connor because like that boss fight is just sick as hell.
So
But
good.
Connor, you always
I
have a second playthrough because this
I
the
do inevitably plan on
um
I do
or
at some point plan on getting the DLC, and I will do a second playthrough
be,
where I will beat that boss for the DLC.
yes
Redemption.
because I think it's time to like talk about like this game was successful. It had a very successful DLC, but um like the DLC is very. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, I completely forgot about this. There is still like so much stuff about like the gameplay that we just haven't talked about. We haven't even
Yeah, I was
talked
about to
about
say. I
like
was.
the P organ tree or um like attributes or like all of that.
I say. Yeah, let's go over that very quickly.
No, I just
I also there
completely
was.
forgot we haven't talked about that because that's also
No,
like
you're
a
fine. No, you're fine.
really sick gameplay mechanic that like Liza
No,
P
you're good.
does, which as I said before is the P organ tree, which the name is a little silly, but like it's kind of self-explanatory when you actually figure it out. Basically certain enemies, mostly bosses or like mini bosses, will drop items called P organs, and you can go into a skill tree and use your P organ points to get both like new skills and also like new skills for offense, defense,
Like
item
items,
use,
like
and like
defensive
stamina.
mechanics. Yeah, yeah, stamina.
And then like
Just basic.
if you upgrade enough, you will also just like most of the time get like a new ability or an extra use of something, or even like extra healing items, which is like a big one.
Yeah, so
Um,
basically, this is very different from like a traditional Souls game where a lot of the character customization just solely comes from the armor you put on and the stats you choose to go into, which is something that's also in this game. However,
not with
this
armor.
additional,
Oh, actually, not.
yeah,
Dude, there's so much about this game we haven't even talked about. Sorry, I'm just like remembering like things that we just have yet to talk about. We haven't even talked about the
no, you're good, you're good.
arms.
No, you're good, you're good. Um, that's the thing. That is something that it does very similar to the other games of the Souls series, but what's different about this game is that the implementation of the P organ skill tree lets you customize it in a way that's completely unique to you in terms of like different passives or just abilities. Some of these are can be like pretty detrimental. Like one of them is being able to have more stagger window time when you stagger an enemy to eventually do a critical attack, or you can have
Host.
more healing vials, like Liam mentioned. One of my favorite ones is being able to hold up to 2 different Legion arms, which is also a different mechanic that is unique to this game, where it basically goes the Sekiro route of, you know, those Shinobi prosthetics where you can customize like a certain move with the left trigger and it does like a really cool ability. Guess what? Eliza P has that as well, and it is sick.
It's cool because like I'd say I'd say it's more interact. It can be more interactive than like some of the Sekiro stuff, because like Sekiro Sekiro actually no, I'd say they're pretty equal. I don't know why I said that.
It's okay,
Because
Liam. It's okay.
like the arms are can do like a range of things. You've got like a flamethrower arm, a grapple arm, a shield arm. Like they do very different things, and like the mechanics
The
are
gun arm.
the gun arm. Like they're quite advanced actually. Like
Oh wait,
you
there are 2 gun arms. I forgot about that. They are advanced though. Sorry, that cut you off.
No, you're good. It's a pretty like extensive system, and you can like upgrade each arm to do more and more. My favorite arm is just the grapple arm, because if you put a grappling hook in a video game, I'm gonna want to play it. But
That was a really fun one I used on my first playthrough. That was a good one.
yes, that one's cool. There's like there's arms for all the different little um elements in the game, because this game does still have like elemental affinity, so certain monsters are going to do more damage than other ones, or certain elements are going to do more damage to certain enemies than other ones, which they are very very good in this game. Like the elements are extremely um ex- the elements are extremely important in this game, because many so many monsters are like extremely weak to one element. Sorry, I butchered my sentence there.
No, you're good. You're good. No, that is something that the game does make very apparent, especially with the implementation of a grindstone. So one common complaint I see from like a lot of like, I'd say casual players from Souls games is that they hate that they can't run like a specific like buffing build on their weapon because it already has like an infusement of something, mostly boss weapons. That's something that Liza P actually avoids, where every single weapon in the game can have this grindstone, which is basically giving your weapon an affinity of something for a short amount of time. They give this to you very early in the game as well. They want you to play around with it, but also to learn about enemy weaknesses. So like more of the I'd say organic material enemies, they're going to be weak to fire because, fire burns. It's pretty hot. But a lot of the puppet enemies, because they're electronic, they're going to be weak to the element of shock because, they're going to short circuit, yada yada. There are other enemies as well. Like I know some human enemies are weak to acid. That's a big element as well. The game makes it very clear that they want you to experiment with these grindstones as well. And they don't even have to be elemental ones too. Like there was one I used in the DLC that just boosted my damage output like just not tenfold, but by a lot. I'd say like 20% for each hit. There's so much variety that you can do. There's also one that increases your parry proficiency for a little bit. There's so much you can do with it in terms of like what you want to do as a player, how you want to do playstyle, or if you just want to do the simple elements and just go for the enemy weaknesses, go for it. You can. That's just something that they will let you do, and it's sick.
It really is sick. I'm a very big fan of all the different elements in this game because they're just well designed. I think like it's very intuitive what is effective against what, like 9 times out of 10.
True. Um, but that is one thing.
Completely agree.
There's one thing I do want to mention as well. The grindstone. Your weapon has durability, and obviously you can change the durability of your weapons on the game depending on like what you want to do with your P organ or just like what kind of weapon you use. But one thing that is very apparent in the game is that even though the enemy weapons can break, yours can too. So you have to manage durability like during a boss fight or like in a mob of enemies, because if you let your weapon get down to a certain degree of durability, not only will it do little to no damage, they can break. And once it's broken, you're fucked, man. Like, go back to the bonfire. You're gonna have to restart the area now with fresh weapons because you didn't manage your durability correctly.
Yeah, it's how, and especially when you start getting into like multiple weapons and like certain weapons, really like are like really good, but they run out of stamina, run out of durability really fast. Like you do have to be quite cognizant of your weapon durability because it does directly affect your damage. And then if your weapon breaks, good luck, man.
You're screwed.
Yeah, it honestly for me, at least because I did my playthrough pretty recently, so I have a lot of this stuff pretty like I still remember a lot of the stuff. But there were like so many like certain boss fights where it would almost be like a puzzle where, or like not a puzzle, but like I had to route out specific things. So it's like, all right, I break their weapon here, and then I, while they're doing their phase transition, I heal up my weapon with the grindstone, or like I'll apply a buff to my weapon here, and like I think that's such a really cool thing about this game because of how just um I'd say like how easy it is to get access to that, because while you can do that stuff in like Souls games, I would say it's a lot less accessible to the player than it is in Lies of P.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they make it very apparent that like they want you to use the grindstones. Meanwhile, in Souls game, it's like here's an item with like a long description. You don't really have to use it though.
That is true. No,
Oh, that
Lies of P is very much like, I'd say one of my personal favorites, like strong suits of the game is kind of just like it's simple to start, but then like it can get very advanced very quickly.
which is, you know, all this like advancement. It's really cool, and it's how you know a human made it. And I hate to really bring this up, but I had to, because the developers of the game have recently stated how their next game, the Eliza P sequel, will be incorporating generative AI into the development of it. And that is something I take very big issue with. Obviously, because I'm against, and everyone in here also is very against generative AI, but also it's kind of hypocritical to the message of what it means to be human.
Yeah, this is like uh even as someone who did not get the like, because I got the bad ending of the game because of my oopsie. Um, but even as someone who did that, it is very apparent through the game that central, if not the core theme of the game, is what it means to be a human and how humanity is what shapes a person, and how when people lose that humanity or people try to imitate that humanity, it can lead to disastrous consequences. And so to have this very core and central theme then be completely undermined by the fact that your next game is going to be using an artificial thing to try and recreate human actions, it just really, like, I would say it really hard or like harms their messaging, and as Guy said, it makes them seem really, really hypocritical.
Yeah,
Like I
it's an incredibly ignorant thing to do, to go against the core message of your game and what you're basically like telling your players, like you humanity is important. Like you are being human is one of like the most intrinsically like critical parts of like life, just being yourself, being a human. There are ugly sides of humanity, but like at the end of the day, being human is not something to be like ashamed of. And like how if you remove humanity, much like one of the a lot of the bosses and like main antagonists of the game do is try to like take away their own humanity, it doesn't end well. And they're putting and they made that entirely like beautiful message and went, "Fuck you! We're gonna make the next game with generative AI, which is in in concept against humans. Like it's against human creativity, which is so stupid. I like it's so it's so it's quite it's quite literally the opposite of what Lies of P wanted.
her puppets one.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it literally is just if the bad ending was like if it was just like, yeah, no, the bad people had a point.
Like
I
it would have been I think a really cool thing for a Lies of P sequel would be to talk about like maybe bring up like an analogy for generative AI as an antagonist, where I think would have been a cool villain for the game because it goes against it would go well with the themes of the first game, but instead they went, what if we just like made the game worse by um adding what we adding what is the worst possible way to make a game. I said it.
let me if,
I think it's
if
if you make something using AI, you should I probably shouldn't say that.
don't say that.
Uh
This
you should probably find a different profession.
yeah, I agree.
I have to agree.
I mean, we've talked about this before in our videos. I hate that it's become like a very common talking point, but it's just something that we morally are very against, so we feel obligated to talk about. I do want to bring this up though. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. Please fact check me, because what I'm about to say is purely based off memory. But this is a South Korean studio that is creating this game. South
Yes.
Korea is not as big on going against generative AI as Western countries. If anything, they actually try to encourage it a little bit. We saw this a little bit recently with the promotional music video of Stellar Blade Blood Rain. I know for a fact that that team, I don't think they really care about using generative AI. I mean, obviously they used it, but I think that's also a cultural thing of the incentive to use it, because if the other devs are using it, okay, seems fine. Which obviously a lot of people in the West are very much in disagreement with.
Yeah. I mean like a lot of Eastern countries are way less opposed to AI than we are, and I don't know where the like disconnect comes from, but it's just I think it's even more crazy for round 8 because the first game they ever made was such a like because we should say this was their first round eight's first game. Like their publisher
Yeah.
is like probably gave them a lot of funding, but like they knocked it out of the park on their first game as a studio. And I just think it's a little crazy that they're now taking all the hard work that they put in for their first game, and instead of like, I don't know, maybe expanding a little bit, or even like focusing in on what they're going to do next, they decided we're going to take a shortcut and make our game a worse product because of it.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see because I really love this game. I really love this game. And
No, this
God,
game,
I
this
was so
game, this
excited for the
game
sequel.
is incredible. Like, I'm gonna say probably the biggest hot take of my entire life. I think band for band, like hour for hour, I enjoyed my time more with Liza P than I did with Elden Ring.
I've known this.
Um,
I do think an important factor of that is that Lies of P is a pretty linear game, whereas Elden Ring is open world. So, in my opinion, it's harder to be as consistent in open world games as compared to like a very linear game like
I,
Lies of
I
P.
also want to state I think both games are like incredible. I think Elden Ring is really good, and I'm also incredibly biased because I just really like the aesthetic of Lies of P. That's like my kind of game, and um, so I also want to say that because I think it's important to say.
That's fine. That's completely fair. Like, dude,
Yeah, I
But
get
I
you.
I love Bloodborne a
oh,
lot. Yeah,
I want to just say that like I love this game, and they're trying to butcher one of like my favorite games by using AI, and if they do, I'm not playing. I just won't play.
I won't play either. I already am not gonna play like Stellar Blade or Stellar Blade 2 just because like the AI usage. Like, man, it's like I don't know like what much more you can say. Like, obviously they're being the hypocritical messaging, the like incorporation of it is just stupid. I don't, man. I really like this. Kind of goes into my closing thoughts a little bit about the game. I loved Liza P. I am the definite Souls guy of the Fetch Quest podcast just because I obsess over them a lot. I replay them a lot. I love looking up builds. I love making builds. I love theorizing about the lore, etc. This is my kind of shit, man. Like, I am also an English major, so like I love looking at old text. So make Pinocchio, but an aura farmer in a Souls game? Holy fuck, you've got me signed on. And guess what? They knocked it out of the park with the base game and the DLC. The DLC is better than the base game. I don't know how they did it, but they did. It just is, and I loved it. But I have to say, as of right now, this is kind of a one and done for me. I really am disappointed by just the decision to incorporate generative AI. And yeah, that's kind of become a broken record at this channel for this channel when we talk about it. But like, I mean, dude, this is like a podcast to give opinions. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Broken record as it may be, like, one and done, Liza P, that ship has sailed. I'm sorry. I loved you for what you were, but now you're turning into something I cannot support anymore. And I think it's a little bittersweet, but I do have to say, if you do want to enjoy possibly the best Souls-like as of right now, Lies of P is really fucking good. I think it is up there in terms of quality with some of the other FromSoft Souls games. I think it is really that good. Even though I think I have a little bit of like a few nitpicks here and there with it, it holds up really well. I think it is super duper fun, but holy shit, you will get your ass rocked.
Great. Um, I guess I'll keep my closing thoughts short because I think Liam's also uh I think I'm gonna keep mine short because I know Liam's probably gonna have a lot more to say about the game. Um, but I really enjoyed Lies of P. I think it's a very fun game. Um, definitely out of um well, actually, I think this was the first Souls like I have played that um isn't part of the like FromSoft umbrella. So I guess it is technically my favorite in that aspect. But I think it's really good. It's got a lot of cool mechanics, even some we didn't touch on all that much. And I think while I agree that this game is really good, I wouldn't put it as like one of my all-time favorites, but I still really like it. And I think it's really disappointing that a studio who made such an incredible game that some people would even put it above some FromSoft games would just immediately lose a lot of goodwill with their audience due to the AI announcement is both really stupid and really sad. But that's all I've got to say on the topic.
Yeah. This is just like the Lies of P. I followed it from its first announcement. It was awesome. I beat the game. I was like, damn, this game was awesome. And then I played it again when the DLC came out. I was like, damn, this game is really awesome. Because this game is fun. It's so fun. There's so many like cool things you can do in this game. There's so much build variety. I think this game is like an endlessly replayable game. In terms of like build variety, it's kind of crazy how much there could be, but that's also like a Souls game thing. Like I said, like even though I think objectively Elden Ring is a better game, I enjoyed my time with Lies of P just a little bit more, even though I absolutely adore both games. But I mean, after Overture, the DLC, I don't know if I'm ever touching this game again. When Lies of P2 comes out, I might just go back to Lies of P1 because I don't want to give Round 8 any more money if they're just gonna like invest heavily into AI. It's just a really, it's such a bitter feeling to take a game who whose entire identity is coded in humanity and then just make it um and then just spit in it. It's genuinely you're spitting in the all the hard work that the people at Round 8 did by just like saying, hey, we're gonna use AI for concept art and all of this. Like even if the final product is human, it comes from stolen art. So I love Lies of P. You should play it, but I do think you should stop at Lies of P and Overture and not do anything else with the company unless they make a change, which I don't know if they will. It would be awesome if they did, but play Lies of P. The game is great, a lot of fun, and the music of that game is genuinely has made me cry. Not even like with like the context of the game. The music is just that pretty.
I agree.
I agree.
But with that, we've been the Fetch Quest podcast. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe and hit that bell. But with that, I think this is goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.